Our next case is Trenton McElroy. Mr. McElroy, would you please introduce yourself and give us your DNC number?
Trenton McElroy, Sr., 433699.
Mr. McElroy, let me explain our process. First, I'm going to read some information into the record, and then we're going to conduct a pardon interview with you. At the appropriate time, those persons who wish to have input will be able to speak. Currently today, on your behalf, you have 4 people present. You actually have 6 people present. Only 4 wish to speak, but we only allow by our rules 3 persons to speak. I'm going to read you the list, and you need to tell me which 3 persons you wish to speak. Trenton McElroy, your son, is here. He does not wish to speak. Shonda Gainey is here, your girlfriend. She wishes to speak. Michael Banford wishes to speak. Marvin Augustus wishes to speak. Werner McElroy wishes to speak. Warner McElroy wishes to speak. So you need to tell me which of the 4 or which of the 3 you wish to speak.
Michael Banford, Marvin Augustus, and also Shonda Gainey.
Okay, so Mr. Warner McElroy will be observing and not speaking.
Yes, sir.
Also present is Jonathan McElroy, who is your brother on Zoom. Here in opposition, we have Jacqueline Germany, Michael Germany, Chadwick Germany, and Ethel Germany, who is the victim's sister. She is present but doesn't wish to speak. At the end of our interview process, you will have an opportunity to give a statement before the board votes. Do you understand our procedure, sir?
Yes, sir.
This is the matter of Trenton McElroy, date of birth, December the 16th of 1972. He is currently serving a life sentence for second-degree murder, having been sentenced on January the 24th of 2001. Mr. McElroy, is that basically correct?
Yes, sir.
Your case has been assigned to Mr. Pete Freeman. Would you please answer any questions? Oh, it's yours?
No, it's mine.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. McElroy, on our pardon board today sits Judge Bonnie Jackson. She was the judge at your trial. We say that so you can understand that she's a participant in this case, and if that is of concern to you, or if you wish to put this matter off to another day because Judge Jackson was your judge, we can do that. If you have no objection to Judge Jackson participating today, we will move forward. It's your call. What would you like to do?
I have no objection, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm sorry. Okay, Mr. Freeman.
Okay, Mr. McElroy, how long have you spent in prison?
24 years and 2 months.
Okay, and how old are you?
50 years old.
And what's your educational level?
12th grade,
Okay, where did you go to school?
Capital Senior High.
Okay. You're charged with shooting Gregory Germany. Tell me what happened, what was going through your mind on the day that you shot Mr. Germany? I know it was over your ex-girlfriend, so tell me what went on.
Well, I want to acknowledge that I take full responsibility for my actions for that night first. Also, I have deep sympathy and remorse for my crime, and I deeply regret it. On that night, I went to Nikki Dorn's apartment to pick up Trenton Jr. Upon arriving, Nikki was sitting in the car with Gregory. I approached the car, beginning to argue with her and asking where Trenton was. She told me he was with her mother. And from that point on, I went to arguing and cursing her, and Gregory intervened, and I began to curse and argue with him. Laid my anger back to Nikki with the cursing and arguing, and from his presence outside the car, I shot Mr. Germany numerous times, and I fled the scene and called Martin. I turned myself in. I did the responsible thing because knowing Mr. Germany, I turned myself in. As a result of my actions, he died.
Were you on drugs at the time of this event?
No, sir, I wasn't on any drugs, but I was intoxicated. I was drinking a lot of alcohol that night.
How long had you been drinking? What age you started drinking?
Around 14 to 15 years old.
I've seen you've taken several classes since you've been in to deal with your drinking. What have you learned?
I've learned that through AA, that I came to believe that a power greater than myself could restore me to sanity, because through my alcoholism, I had poor judgment, poor decision making, and it showed because of the actions that when I killed the young man Gregory Germany.
Did you believe he was going to get a gun?
At one point I did, because due to my ignorance and selfishness and envy and jealous heart, I really believe he did. Yes, sir.
Because you shot him 3 times, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. So you did have a chance to disengage if you'd have wanted to.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Through my anger management, I learned that if I would have just heard him by listening, I could have retreated. Yes, sir.
Okay. You're currently at the state police barracks. What is your job over there?
Ground and maintenance. I worked ground and maintenance, and for 3 years I worked for OMB Finance Building, doing janitorial and custodian work. Also, now I do lawn and ground maintenance for the captain that sits to the left.
How long have you been at the state police barracks?
4 years.
Okay. I see that you have, how many children you have? 3 or 4?
Three.
Okay. Do you have contact with your children?
Yes, sir.
Contact on a regular basis?
Yes, sir. I visited my son yesterday and talked to both of my daughters. Yes, sir.
Okay. You had a 99 arrest for first-degree murder and attempted first-degree murder. The charges were later dropped. What was that about?
I haven't figured that out myself, but I know when I got arrested on this charge for killing Mr. Germany, those accusations were brought up, and I got convicted with Mr. Germany for killing Mr. Germany, and they were dismissed. I never had any court procedures behind those, sir.
So they just dropped those charges after you pled guilty to shooting Mr. German.
Yes, sir.
Do you recall what that was about? I mean, was it a disagreement with someone? What was that about?
I don't even know any individuals, those individuals, sir. Not at all. I don't know any of them.
What did they allege that you did? I mean,
Yes, sir, they did. Oh, they alleged that I murdered him, shot him, sir.
okay.
I didn't do it.
Okay. You know, looking at the community attitude, there's no, well, Ms. Jackson has already spoken. There's opposed Tracy Barbera, the first district attorney, and she does mention about the other case. Saying that they dismissed those charges after you was convicted of these. The sheriff was opposed. No comment from the chief. Unopposed is your family. Ms. Lois McElroy. They'd be very happy for you to be home. Your father, Mr. Warner McElroy, is also unopposed. The victim impact statement, I'll get to that later, but they're opposed. Okay, do you consider yourself to be an alcoholic?
Yes, sir. Always will be a recovering alcoholic, sir.
Okay, what is your treatment? I mean, what is your sobriety plan and your residence plan if you were to get out?
My sobriety plan, they have a center on Old Hammond Highway, 10319 Old Hammond Highway. I attend there with the monthly and weekly meetings, and I'll be living in Greenwood Springs, Louisiana, with Sean again as a resident plan. But my first resident would be parole project to transition further with the classes, well, everything they have to offer.
About how long you think you'll be at the parole project?
Long as they allow me to be there to transition properly back into society.
I see you've only had one write-up, which is very good. You've taken a bunch of classes. Your risk is low. Your needs are low. Do you belong to any clubs or make any contributions back to your community?
Yes, sir. I'm assistant pastor here on 1400 West Irene Road. I did a backpack giveaway. Also, we do AA Anonymous on Thursday evenings, and we have our sponsor, Mr. Robert Baum. He's a regular participant. Yes, sir. So we give a lot back, and we're going to give a call out for 60 and over in about 2 weeks. So do a lot in the community here.
Mr. Myers, could you, I know you're not on the speakers list. Can you give me a brief rundown on what y'all would offer?
Yes, good morning, Mr. Freeman. Parole Project is certainly prepared to offer Mr. McElroy our full services. He would come into our program. He would be a residential client. While there, he will be able to have the benefit of a coach, a case manager, where one-on-one he will have someone to help guide him through through the transition. In addition, he'll be taking classes in things like financial management and planning, retirement, technology skills. He'll have 4 levels of technology, from basic using a cell phone to how to use online banking. He'll have social norms, how to interact in the workplace, how to interact with other coworkers, how to interact with his employers. He'll be assessed with our social worker. He'll get both a substance abuse and mental health assessment, which we would then, based on that assessment, make any recommendations for him to follow. He'll have the full complement of our services.
Thank you. Mr. McElroy, victims, Michael Germany, who is a brother, he is totally opposed to your getting out. Okay, you have several support letters. Numerous support letters. Warden, what can you say about Mr. McElroy?
In the time that I've known Trent, he's been the same person that you see sitting before you today. Soft-spoken, very humble. He takes pride in his role as assistant pastor at the church. And anything we ask him to do, if we ask him to work on the weekends, if we ask him to do a job that he's not assigned to, he eagerly does it. And he has a strong family, a very strong family. You can assure that every weekend somebody from his family is coming up here to visit him, and they are a lot of fun. So I think if given the opportunity, with his family support and his work ethic, he'd make a productive citizen.
Okay, I have no further questions. Walter,
Yes, I do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. McElroy, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Mr. McElroy, I'm going to read you a statement that was submitted by the District Attorney's Office in East Baton Rouge Parish and from Assistant DA Patrick Barbera. She states that the subject previously threatened the victim. Is that true?
Could you repeat the question, sir? I can hear you clearly.
The District Attorney's Office said that you previously threatened the victim, you threatened to kill the victim.
I take full responsibility for that, for my actions, sir. Yes, sir.
Did you threaten him prior to the shooting?
Not face to face. I told Nikki Goins that was in, yes, sir.
Okay. And she also stated that there's some indication that you had other charges of a violent nature at the time you were convicted. The DA's office decided that they would not prosecute those cases. Is that correct?
I'm assuming I have not too much knowledge of, but what's been written on paperwork. So yes, sir, I'm assuming that's true.
Now, you take the day of the murder, you went to pick up your son, Trenton Jr., is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Why? How old was Trenton Jr. at the time?
15 months old.
So why would you go pick up a son, your biological son, in an intoxicated manner to drive him home?
Mr. Roche, sir, I was very, very intoxicated, out of my mind, unfocused, selfish, not knowing where and how I would have been able to drive him. I just wanted to be close to him at that time. And that's all that came to my mind. And just seeing him and holding him. I was just living inside the bottle, Mr. Roche. Just living inside the bottle. I was just an alcoholic. And that's the only thing that came to my mind, just picking up my son, spending some time with him.
Okay. Now, could you have been so intoxicated that you don't remember exactly what happened because reading a version of your former girlfriend who had left you and she was seeing another person, Mr. Germany, gave a completely different story on how this event happened?
Yes, sir, it could have been true that I've been so intoxicated, yes, sir, that I could have gave a different story, but what I believed, if I came to accept and acknowledge that my actions were totally unacceptable, I went there to pick up my son, got into a highly heated argument with her, with the victim, Mr. Germany, and back to her, and quickly escalated into what we know now is Mr. Germany being deceased.
But you never saw a weapon, did you?
No, sir, I did not, sir.
And you just fired upon an individual without even knowing whether he was a threat or not.
Yes, sir. I take full responsibility for that, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, last question. Do you think 24 years is sufficient retribution for taking a life of a human being without any threat to your self-being.
Mr. Roche, I cannot say 24 years is enough time. The judge sentenced me to the written statute. I'm not a person to say how much time I've done for a crime as heinous as this is. So no, sir, I wouldn't put a time on this horrible incident. No, sir, I wouldn't.
Thank you, Mrs. McElroy.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Now we'll hear from your supporters. Ms. Shonda Gainey. Gainey, if you would please go to the podium, tell us your name and tell us what you'd like us to know.
My name is Shonda Gainey, and I am here in support of Trenton. I met him many years ago, as a matter of fact, in high school. Life took us in different directions. I joined the military. I am a veteran at this point. I had asked about him when I came back, and I moved back. I never thinking anything like this had happened or anything. Coincidentally, I went to Angola Rodeo. Trenton. I didn't know he was in prison. And so we exchanged numbers, talked, for a while. Communication was lost. And I was reconnected with him through his mother. Just like pure coincidence, and we began communicating. And I was amazed, astonished about what happened, because I am familiar with the family, and they are a good family. So I was really surprised about what happened. I support him, and I don't think he's a threat to society. I've watched him grow in the last 3 years. I visited him quite often. His family supports him. I have gained a relationship with all 3 of his kids, and they love him and they respect him. His family respects him. His disciplinary write-up showed you that when he got to Angola, he wasn't anticipating getting out. He has one write-up in over 20 years. So that's just a testament of his character. He is a wonderful person. He's a provider. He's helped people while he's done so many things. He's rehabilitated himself. I don't know what else, he can do. One thing, the last thing I want to say is I am familiar with this, because I, a few years ago, was a victim in opposition of the man who murdered my mother. And honestly, I don't think I know you guys know what you're doing, because I don't think if my family and I had even showed up, he had not rehabilitated himself. But in this case, Trent has rehabilitated himself, and he's done those things not knowing when this chance was going to come. And he did that because he wanted to better himself regardless of the outcome. Thank you today for this chance.
Thank you. Mr. Michael Bamford.
What are you all doing?
Morning.
I have a lot to say about Trenton, man. I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna move it on, I'm gonna speed it up. I hadn't seen my mother in quite some time. I had very little in prison. I had men like that. I didn't have no clothes to go see my mother. He gave me everything that I needed to go see my mother. And I didn't have to give anything back to him. That man right there that you're looking at, he's a leader. He's a man with a heart full of grace. This is not an act with him. He has strong values about who he is and what he does. He has no problem with doing anything anyone asks of him. He's a giver. He's a person who loved and he's an inspiration. I recall a time when we played football together under Norris Henderson leadership. That Trent would get us together and we would get all our minds and games get angry. You know how things get during the football season, the football game. And he told us, see this is not powerful. But this, we have to stay together. And that just didn't carry me through a football game, but it carried me through life. And it helps me being on the outside to know that I have to stay like this in order to survive. His mother is a loving mother. He gets all his ways from his mother, I guess, and his father, he's a strong individual. And he gets that from them. And I greatly appreciate the man that Trent has become because he has grown from prison to even get to the state police barracks. And I'm hoping today that the board just consider his record and the things that he has accomplished throughout his incarceration and maybe give him an opportunity to be with the family once again. And I would like to say, I thank you all for having me to speak, to come before you. And I will say this, and I'm going. The Village is a program that I'm currently operating. And it will take men like him to help me and everyone else to restore the fabric of society before it comes to rules, things, the way things are in society. That's all I have to say. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Marvin Augustus Sr.
Obviously, there's been on training, getting the jobs. I've also been in prison myself, had a second opportunity, and I was in '96, successful black owner of pharmacy in there, Augustus Properties, give them a chance to come out, rehabilitate himself, and maybe if you want to, let him give him a chance. I got a second chance.
Thank you very much, sir. Now we hear from the opposition, Ms. Jacqueline Germany.
Good morning, to the roll board. Everyone who's present here today. My name is Jacqueline Germany. I've worked in the court system most of my life. So I'm aware of what happened and what can happen. But today, I stand before you with a tremendous laden heart. And as I make this statement to you, while I live in a joined world with unexpected and extreme intense situations, I can compare to the situation I found myself in on March 28th of 1990. Then my son Gregory Kidd was murdered and a victim of gun violence at the hands of Trenton McElroy. Gregory's death has had an inevitable impact on my life, mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. He was that child who was always there to help me. And now that I'm aging, I know that he will be there to assist me with love and affection that I need now at this present time in my life. Gregory's death has an impact on his family, friends, his brother, the community. He was that person who gave love to everyone around him. Right now, even though Gregory has been dead 24 years, there are still people come up to me and say to me that they miss Greg. Because Greg was that kind of young man who gave what he wanted. Yes, he has faults, like all of us do. But he did not deserve to die and have his life stolen from him the way it was by Trenton McElroy. He sat in a corner at the apartment complex like a thief in the night. And when my son drove up with supposed girlfriend the young man's father, who Gregory had been a father to, and he was calling him daddy at that particular time. He shot Gregory in the knees first. Gregory said, "Man, you got me." He went around the car, he shot him in the back. And then when Gregory went to get in the car, he shot him in the chest and killed him. When I got to the hospital and they told me that my son was dead, and I went to see him, the look on his face that night, once they covered him up, I saw contentment. He had made his peace with God. He did not deserve to be killed the way he was. While gun violence nowadays is something that's prevalent, and it's been 24 years, but since 1999, the impact of gun violence on our city, our state, and our country has been enormous. Maybe Kitten has tried to rehabilitate himself. That's what they do when they go to prison, when all their freedom is taken away from them. But his family, his friends can go and visit him. They can see him, they can hear him, they can talk to him. But my only recourse has been to go to the grave and look at the headstone of my son. Every day I live and think about my child. When the man from probation department, whatever he was called, called
We
me,
need you to wrap
it's
it
been
up.
over a year now. So all of this has drug up for me again. It has caused me some emotional and health issues. It's too much. And to find out that he had been in the police barracks, but he's had some freedom. He's had that sense of freedom. My son was never given an opportunity to have that. So I'm asking you today, think about what you're doing. Think about your decision. Think about me as a mother and the other mothers who are losing their children now because of gun violence, because of unthinkable acts of. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you,
all
ma'am.
have a great day.
Michael, Germany.
Y'all for giving me this opportunity. Just want to talk a little briefly about choices and consequences. There's a consequence to every choice you make. I've made some that landed me in prison. Other people have done things and didn't go to prison. My brother made a choice to date a woman who had a child. And I'm sure when Greg was dating Nikki, he never thought that he'd be murdered for it. That was a choice of dating, not like Nikki. Trenton murdered my brother, cold blood. Greg didn't have a gun. I was the one that carried him. Greg was fighting, and that's what Trenton knew. Greg would have whooped. He had a gun. Be murdered. Trenton chose to snuff out my brother's life by planning, stalking, and carrying out a murder in the parking lot of an apartment complex. That choice caused him to be sentenced to life without parole. Now we're at a commutation hearing so that he can one day be free, possibly. He has a chance to visit his family. I'm glad his son and his daughters go to see him. I'm glad he's had rehabilitation. He's taking classes. He's found God. Appreciate all those things. My brother can never hold his grandchildren. He couldn't go to his daughter's graduation. So I speak for Greg. I'm here for Greg. I've hated Trenton because he stole my brother from me. Person that I am today is a lot different than the man I once was. So I know rehabilitation is possible. But rehabilitation from murdering someone in cold blood and being accused of murdering someone else the year before, those charges were dropped only because he got sentenced to life in prison for my brother. So if given the opportunity, do I think Trenton would commit another crime? Only God knows his heart, I don't. But I know once you kill, it's easy to do it again. What if the next girlfriend he had doesn't want to be with him anymore and chooses to go with another guy? Would that rejection make him want to kill that man too? Choices and consequences. My brother made a choice to date a woman that shouldn't have been a consequence of death. Trenton made a choice to kill my brother.
Mr. Germany, would you wrap up?
Consequence should be life in prison. Thank you.
Mr. Chadwick, Germany?
Okay.
Mr. Chadwick, Germany, we can't hear you. You're on mute.
Okay, I'm sorry. Your Honor, thank you for the opportunity to speak today. First of all, as hard as it has been, I have forgiven Trenton McElroy for what he did to my brother. Greg and I were really close growing up. We slept in the same bed until we were 13 years old. We wore a lot of the same clothes. We played Little League ball together and played video games and had a lot of fun. He was an inspiration to me as a young sibling up until he died, not because of his status, but because of his heart. He loved and cared about people and did whatever he could to help anyone. I share that same gift. To the board, I know that Trenton has a family that loves and cares about him and wants him to come home so that they can spend time together and catch up on lost time. The Germany family, we are not afforded that same opportunity. Greg has a family, he has kids, he has people that send me messages and phone calls just to share an experience or just to say how much they miss him. In August or September 2003, after only being in prison 5 years, Trenton McElroy, number 433699, filed an application for post-conviction relief in the state district court, and all of his assertions were denied and the sentence was upheld. What has changed since then? Only time. The facts still exist. Trenton was given life because he took a life. He came to the apartment complex with the intent to kill and do harm. Everyone in his circle knew that Greg was a convicted felon and he didn't carry a gun. Trenton knew that also. So the question arises, why did he put the gun in his side when he got out of the car and go and approach Greg's car? It's because he was angry. His friends had been teasing him about Ms. Goins' relationship with Greg and that his kids had been calling Greg daddy. And he was ready to bring it all to an end, and he did. He shot my brother, not just once, but multiple times, even as he tried to walk away. He followed him and gunned him down. He shot 6 times, killing Greg, who was unarmed. According to Ms. Goins, he told her months before that he would shoot Greg if he saw them together. Well, that night, after leaving the club and drinking with his friends, Trenton McElroy did exactly what he said he would do. He went to the apartment complex with the intent to shoot and kill my brother. On behalf of Ethel Germany, when you kill someone, you've killed their loved ones. Since you can't speak to the deceased, part of healing is reaching out to the family through mail or other means to let them know you are remorseful for what you have done. But Trenton McElroy, he didn't do that. He has not reached out to any of us. As a family, we miss Greg and we will never have the opportunity to see him or spend time with him on this earth. Trenton took his life. I pray that in all fairness, Trenton McElroy continues to serve his life sentence for the crime he committed, and hope he never gets out. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Germany. We appreciate your comments. Mr. McElroy, is there anything you'd like to say to the board before the board votes?
Yes, sir. Today, I accept all responsibility for taking Mr. Germany's life. I send forth deep sympathy and apology to his mother, to his brothers, to his children, grandchildren, to his friends, to the community. I hated to begin to open something up that would cause them much trauma and pain. Through my victim awareness, I learned that she would and they would suffer tremendously through the trauma of spiritual, mental, financial, health, and wealth because of my actions. My actions are not the guy I am today. The man I am today, I'm a different man. I think different, walk different, talk different. I give different. I accept my actions of wrongdoing. That's why I'm so thankful for the DOC's programming and DOC's training. It's equipped me to move forward in life and be a better man, Judge. And I just like to continue to be thankful that I had this opportunity to speak and be thankful that I afforded a chance to be forgiven. And I asked for deep forgiveness, and only in God's timing, I just pray that that family can forgive me. That's all I have to say, sir.
Thank you, Mr. McElroy. Appreciate your comments. Mr. Pam.
I'd like to ask for that.
There's been a motion for executive
Second.
session. There's a second. Any opposition? No opposition. We'll go into executive session. There's been a request to go into executive session to discuss confidential matters. The board will be at a short recess. We will return momentarily with our decision. The pardon board will reconvene. We're ready to vote. Mr. Freeman?
Okay, as you can see, we're taking this case very seriously, and it's just a very awkward case. It really is for me. You know, he didn't serve but 24 years. He's done well in prison. Only the one write-up, but he did take a life. And, you know, I'm hung up on the 24 not being enough. I'll be totally honest with y'all. But I'm also hung up with life is too much. So my recommendation today, and it may hold no water when it comes to Louisiana state law, but I'm going to say what I think should happen. And what I think should happen, that he should get a commutation of sentence to 99 years and not be parole eligible to after 30.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Ms. Jackson?
Mr. McElroy, my vote is the same. You have done all that you could possibly do over the course of your incarceration. I know this is a very difficult moment for victims. It's difficult for any victim who has to be here when they've lost someone that they love, and the pain is still real and it doesn't go away, and it will never go away. But our role here is to look at who you are today, not who you were 24 years ago. And I doubt that there are very many people in this room who would want to be judged by who they were 24, 25 years ago. This process takes into account the fact that people did have capacity to change. And I think you've done well. You've done everything you can do to improve yourself, and not just yourself, but others as well. So my vote likewise is to recommend a commutation of 99 years with parole eligibility after having served 30 years.
Thank you, Judge Jackson. Mr. Roche?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. L. McElroy, my vote is to make a recommendation to the government that your sentence be commuted to 99 years with parole eligibility after serving 30 years.
Thank you. Mr. Roche. Mr. McElroy, I agree with my colleagues. My vote would likewise be to recommend to the governor that your sentence be commuted to 99 years and that you become parole eligible after having served 30 years. Good luck to you, sir. That'll be the recommendation we send to the governor.
Yes, sir.
We
Thank you, sir.
appreciate everyone being here today and we appreciate everything that you've said.
Thank you.